The best investment I made by accident, and then I forgot I owned it for 5 years. Back in 2015, I bought some Bitcoin. Not because I was a genius who saw the future. Honestly, because I was curious and it was cheap. About 10 or 12 coins, somewhere around $5,000 all in. I poked at it for a week, didn't really understand what I was holding, and then life happened. Kids, work, bills. I completely forgot I owned it. 5 years later, in 2020, I remembered. And what I found waiting for me was worth many, many times what I'd paid. Now, you'd think the lesson here is buy Bitcoin, get rich. It isn't. The real lesson is the exact opposite of everything the trading channels scream at you, and it's the single most important thing I can teach a person who's trying to protect a lifetime of savings. Because the reason that Bitcoin grew into what it did is that I did absolutely nothing with it. And today, I want to show you why doing nothing was the smartest possible move, and why it matters more for a retiree than for anyone else. Let me take you back. In 2015, Bitcoin was a strange little thing that most serious finance people laughed at. I was deep in the mortgage world. I'd started paying attention to how money actually gets made. You've heard that story. And Bitcoin kept coming up as this idea of money that nobody could print. It nagged at me. So I bought a little, a few $100s a coin. I told myself I'd study it. I didn't. I got busy. The coins sat in a wallet, and I genuinely stopped thinking about them. If you'd asked me in 2017 what I owned, I'm not sure I'd have remembered they existed. That's not a humble brag, it's the whole point of the story, so hang on to it. Then came 2020. The world shut down, and you remember from the last couple episodes, they flooded the system with money like never before. 40% more dollars in 2 years. And I'm sitting there watching them do it, watching the value quietly drain out of everything I'd saved, and something clicked in the back of my head. Didn't I buy some of that Bitcoin thing a few years ago? The thing they can't print more of? I dug up the wallet. And the few $1,000s I'd forgotten about had grown into a number that genuinely stopped me in my chair. I hadn't checked it. I hadn't traded it. I hadn't done one single thing. I'd forgotten it existed, and that turned out to be the best financial decision I made that entire decade. And that's not luck, it's a principle. And it's a principle you can actually use, unlike time the market. I built a tool that shows you what simply holding would have done to a slice of your savings over the years, no trading required. I'll give you the address shortly. First, let me show you why the doing nothing is the secret, because this is the part that protects you. Here's what really happened in those 5 years I ignored my Bitcoin. It didn't go up in a straight line. It crashed. Hard. More than once. It fell 70, 80% at times. If I had been watching it, I almost certainly would have panicked and sold at the bottom, like most people did. If I'd been smart and active, trading in and out, trying to catch the tops, dodge the dips, the odds are overwhelming that I'd have ended up with far less than if I'd done nothing. Think about two farmers. One plants a tree and then digs it up every few weeks to check the roots, replants it somewhere he thinks is sunnier, panics when a storm comes, and moves it again. The other plants the tree and walks away for 10 years. Which tree is bigger? It's not close. The active farmer kills his tree with attention. Bitcoin was my tree, and the only reason it grew is that I forgot to touch it. The trading channels will never tell you this, because they need you active. They need you clicking, watching charts, buying their signals, feeling like you have to do something. That is a casino, and the house always wins, and the house is not you. The person who quietly held and ignored the noise beat almost everyone who was playing the game. I am living proof, entirely by accident. Now let me connect this to your money, because this is where it matters for you specifically. You are not 25. You are not trying to get rich by Friday. You've already built the savings. Your whole job now is different. It's to not get poor slowly while the machine dilutes everything you saved. That's the enemy, not missing a trade. The slow, quiet, guaranteed erosion of your dollars that we spent 5 episodes proving is baked into the system. And against that enemy, trading is a trap. Every time you try to be clever, sell here, buy back there, you're playing a game the professionals designed to take money from amateurs. And you're risking the one asset that was actually protecting you. The move for a saver is not to trade Bitcoin, it's to hold it, to own a piece of the one thing they can't print more of, and then to have the stomach to ignore it through the storms. The way I ignored mine, except on purpose this time. I know what stops people: the volatility. It drops 30% and your stomach drops with it, and every instinct says get out. So let me reframe that for you, because it's the thing that shakes savers out right before the reward. That volatility is not the theft. It's the toll you pay at the door. Here's the difference. The dollar losing value every single year to the printing, that's the theft. It's quiet, it's guaranteed, and it never gives your money back. Bitcoin's price swinging up and down, that's loud and terrifying, but it's the price of admission to an asset that can't be diluted. And historically, for the people who held through the swings, it has paid the toll back many times over. The saver's mistake is running from the loud toll straight back into the arms of the quiet theft. I almost want you to be a little bored by your Bitcoin. Bored is how you win. So here's the whole thing, from a guy who did it by accident and now does it on purpose. Bitcoin is not a trade. For you, it's a store of value, a place to put a portion of your savings that the machine cannot print more of, and then leave alone. 21 million, fixed. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to time it. You're not trying to be a trader. You never were. You're trying to hold something real through a period when everything made of paper is being watered down, and let the years do the work. The greatest thing Bitcoin ever did for me, it did while I wasn't looking. That's not a flaw in the story. For a saver, that is the story. The people who win with Bitcoin are almost never the clever ones. They're the patient ones who bought a piece of the unprintable and then had the discipline, or in my case, the forgetfulness, to leave it alone. That tool I mentioned is at timtalksfinance.com/members. It lets you see what simply holding a slice of your savings in Bitcoin would have done across the years, through the crashes and all. No trading, no timing, just holding. It's part of the membership. I built it because the trading world has convinced good, careful people that they need to be active to win. And the truth is the exact opposite. And I wanted you to see it laid out in plain numbers. I'm not going to tell you Bitcoin does what it did for me again, or when. Nobody knows, and the honest truth is, I got my head start by pure accident. What I'll tell you is the principle, because the principle is solid. The enemy of a saver is the slow dilution of his dollars. The answer is to hold a portion in the one thing that can't be diluted. And the way you lose is by getting scared out of it or clever with it. You decide how big that portion is. That's a probability to weigh, not a promise. I'm just telling you what the boring, patient version actually looks like, because I've lived it. So, the best investment I ever made, the one I forgot I owned for 5 years. The reason it worked isn't that I'm smart, it's that I held the one asset they can't print more of, and I didn't touch it while they printed everything else. That's not a trader's story, that's a saver's story, and it's the one that fits you. You don't need to catch a bottom or watch a chart. You need to own a piece of the unprintable and be boring about it. 21 million, held through the noise, while they flood the world with paper. If you want to see what that patience looks like in your own numbers, it's at timtalksfinance.com/members. Next episode, I'll tell you about the time I did the opposite. I made $90,000 in 2 days on an insider tip, and why that win is the exact reason I trust only Bitcoin and nothing else in crypto. I'm Tim. I'll see you there.